Good day everyone, and a warm welcome to my channel. As you can see from today's description, topaz buying and faceting, pros and cons. So join me as we discuss a very interesting subject. So as I get ready to facet a piece of topaz from Queensland, Australia, I guess the first question we should be asking ourselves, what is topaz? Well, topaz is a silicate mineral of aluminium and fluorine. It's mostly used as a gemstone in jewellery and other adornments. Usually common topaz in its natural state is colourless. However, through trace elements and impurities, this can make the topaz often look like a pale blue or golden brown to a yellow or orange. The rarest of all the topaz comes in the natural pinks, reds and the delicate golden oranges, and sometimes with pink hues. Topaz can also be treated by heat or radiation to create such colours as sky blue, Swiss blue or London blue. So as a gem cutter who's literally cut hundreds of different types of gemstones over all these years, topaz has still remained my favourite gem. So when it comes to topaz, what are some of the pros? So from a gem cutting point of view, and I would say to any person who's a student or learning how to cut a gem, it is by far one of the easiest gems to cut and polish, and particularly the polishing of topaz compared to quartz or most other gemstones is a lot easier. So one of the pros is ease of cutting and polishing. So if you're a person who can't cut gems and you just want to buy gemstones, well, topaz, if it's cut by a really good gem cutter, has diamond-like qualities and you can buy it for a fraction of the cost. Also, what makes topaz impressive is its hardness. If you look at the Mohs mineral hardness scale, topaz comes in at a fairly high 8 out of 10. So it's a lot harder than quartz, and it's a lot harder than more expensive gems such as emerald, tourmaline or tanzanite. So last but not least is the fantastic range of colours that comes in topaz, from the incredibly beautiful imperial topaz to the brilliant white topaz. So here I'm back at it again, cutting my own piece of white topaz, and in this video I'm doing something that I've never done before when I cut a gem, and that is to cut in some edge facets on a very standard design called the standard round brilliant, although I'm going to be adding a few extra facets on the pavilion but deleting a couple of facets on the crown. So we've discussed what the pros were when it comes to cutting topaz and for those people who want to buy topaz as a gem, but it must have some disadvantages. Well, topaz does come with its own demons, and probably the most obvious is the cleavage plane. So the cleavage plane is every gem cutter's nightmare, and yes, topaz has cleavage planes, which means when you're directly faceting on that plane at a certain angle, the gem will literally tear away from itself or cleave off. So here's some footage of where you can see the cleavage plane and how easily topaz will cleave. So here's a typical piece of topaz that you would find in a creek or riverbed that would be typically water worn. As I spin it around, you can see perfectly where the cleavage plane is. That's the section of the gem you don't want to be cutting on, as it will tear away on you. So you'll probably have to cut 10 degrees off from that plane. So here's another piece of topaz that I have where the cleavage plane is not so obvious. So what you're looking for are shiny patches on the surface, as you can see here, and that's indicating the direction of the cleavage plane. So if you're a person who just wants to buy topaz, rough or cut, well, this is one of the disadvantages. You've got a whole lot of sellers out there who literally sell junk. Look at this. Oh, gee. He's literally superimposed facets on top of a rough piece of gem, which is not topaz, by the way. It looks more like a lolly that he sucked on. And really, eBay should be ashamed that they are hosting sellers like this. This is not topaz, it's some piece of garbage. So here we have another eBay special for the buyer with superimposed facets, all done on Photoshop, which are poorly done, and without the superimposed facets. Now this gem claims to be a 3.25 carat Brazilian pink topaz. Well, pink topaz is one of the rarest forms of topaz. So this person's going to try and sell it off to a buyer who knows nothing about gems, and this honestly is just another piece of junk. So to add to the pile of junk that eBay seems to list daily, here we have a piece of Brazilian blue topaz, 118 carats. That's a huge piece, and it comes certified with a free gift, probably a bag of dog crap. This is a typical example of what you should not buy, as this is just a piece of glass. So here we have more glass being sold on eBay, listed as treated orange and London blue topaz. Well, if you're a customer, don't buy this product because it is genuinely fake. So this is the garden variety of fake topaz, usually seen on all platforms such as AliExpress, Alibaba and eBay. It's sold off as topaz, but it's usually just lemon quartz, so buyer beware. So you don't need to go online looking for a fake piece of topaz. This is a piece I bought a bit over a year ago at an Australian gem show. And yes, this is totally 100% pure, unadulterated, fake topaz. The gentleman who sold it put $150 on it, but I quizzed him on the fact that I thought it was fake, so he sold it to me for $1. Now, I've got to tell you that this comes with a certificate, which is quite amazing that people would go to such lengths to sell a piece of glass with a certificate, and this certificate is totally dodgy, all signed, has the weight of the topaz and how many carats, and at the end of the day what you're buying is a chunk of glass. So finally we have a real piece of topaz listed on eBay, and this is actually sold in Australia, and you can see that this gem looks totally different than all the other gems listed. And the way I identify this is that you can zoom in on the gem and you can actually see where some of the cleavage planes are. This gem looks natural, so there is nothing to suggest that this gem would be fake at all. So back to the real piece of topaz that I'm currently faceting. Now this video won't be about every aspect how you cut a piece of topaz. It's more informative about the pros and cons of what to expect when you're cutting topaz, or when you're buying rough topaz or already pre-cut gems in topaz. So as I'm polishing this piece of topaz, there is one aspect about topaz that does need to be discussed if it is a pro or con, and that is rutile in it. Now rutile is a natural mineral often found in topaz, and it can actually be formed in quartz. Now to me, rutile can often be a blessing or a curse when you're faceting. So the blessing is that rutile makes a beautiful internal feature within inside the topaz. The downside is sometimes when you're cutting topaz with rutile in it, the needle of rutile will sit on the flat of the facet, and this has happened to me. It'll sit on the flat of the facet and then you go ahead to polish it, and for whatever reason as you get to the end, that piece of rutile will work itself out of the facet face and leave a gouge, and it really does stand out. So we do have pluses and minuses for rutile, but if you can get it to look good internally, it's a real pro. So I'm back at it again, cutting the crown of the gem. Now for those people who don't know, the crown is the top of the gem. It's the section of the gem you look into where all the light comes out, and the dispersion and the scintillation. Now for those people who are gem cutters, you can take this with a grain of salt, what I'm going to say, but from my own experience after all these years of buying rough gems, whether it's online or at gem shows, particularly even with topaz, that when you buy rough gems, we are often disadvantaged because the dealers have already cherry-picked the best gems and they're sold to the high-end gem cutters. Now, if you're a non-commercial gem cutter like myself, I'm a recreational gem cutter, I facet because I enjoy cutting gems, well, often the choice can disadvantage us. For example, with the Topaz, the cleavage plane will always be, 9 times out of 10, where you want to cut the table. So you're going to have to cut an oddball shaped gem, or the size of the gem will be somewhat diminished. So we're getting close to the end of another video, and for those people who've got this far, thank you for hanging in there and watching it. It's been a different video. It's been an informative video rather than a tuition video. So for those people who are buying gemstones and for those people who are cutting gems, hopefully this has been some help for you people out there. And also finally, we do have the final reveal coming up where you get to see what this gem looks like fully cut and polished. So once again, thank you for watching this video. It's bye for now.